The quiet expanse above our heads is no longer as peaceful as it once seemed. A recent event brought this new reality into sharp focus. In late 2021, Russia conducted a test, destroying one of its own defunct satellites. The missile was launched from the ground. This deliberate act, an anti-satellite or ASAT test, instantly created a massive cloud of more than 1,500 pieces of trackable debris. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station sheltered in their return capsules as a precaution. This single event was a stark reminder. Technologies meant to explore space can be used as weapons. They now threaten the infrastructure we rely on every day. At its core, space warfare is simply any conflict that extends into or takes place in outer space. It involves actions taken to attack an opponent's space assets, or to use space-based systems to support combat operations on Earth. More often, it involves subtle, hard-to-detect activities aimed at disrupting the services that satellites provide. This new domain of conflict is characterized by actions that can be either reversible or irreversible. A reversible attack, like jamming a satellite signal, temporarily disrupts its function without causing permanent damage. Once the jamming stops, the satellite can resume its normal operations. An irreversible attack might use a missile, a high-powered laser that fries electronics, or a cyber attack that seizes control and sends a satellite tumbling out of its useful orbit. Many people may not realize it. Invisible threads of data connect us to the satellites orbiting high above, and these connections are fundamental to our modern way of life. The most obvious example is global communications. When you make an international phone call, watch a live news broadcast, or get online in remote places, you are likely using a satellite. Another critical function powered by satellites is navigation. Your phone, your car, and global logistics rely on precise timing from a constellation of GPS satellites. Aviation depends on GPS for safe routes, ships navigate treacherous waters, and precision agriculture plows fields with centimeter-level accuracy. Weather satellites track hurricanes and severe storms, providing life-saving warnings and long-term climate insights. Despite their importance, satellites are surprisingly vulnerable targets. One of the simplest methods is jamming, overwhelming receivers with powerful radio signals. Jamming can disrupt links or interfere with faint GPS signals, causing navigation to fail. A more sophisticated path is cyber attack, seizing control, shutting down systems, changing orbits, or corrupting data. Direct ascent ASATs launch from ground, ship, or aircraft to destroy satellites on impact. Co-orbital systems maneuver to approach and disable targets, an inspector or a weapon. Non-kinetic attacks, lasers and high-powered microwaves, can blind sensors or fry electronics, leaving little evidence and making attribution difficult. The theory of space warfare is not just a future concern. We have already seen real-world examples. In 2007, China destroyed a weather satellite, creating over 3,000 trackable pieces of debris. The US acted in 2008, India in 2019, and Russia in 2021. Capabilities are proliferating. Beyond tests, persistent GPS jamming has been reported in conflict zones, impacting civilian aviation. Analysts have observed unusual close approaches to American satellites, so-called inspector satellites. In 2020, a top US Space Force general called Russian satellite shadowing unusual and disturbing. Destructive tests, subtle maneuvers, and signal jamming paint a clear picture. The space domain is already contested. The arena of space security is no longer dominated by just two superpowers. The United States, Russia, and China field full-spectrum space capabilities, including proven anti-satellite weapons. Beyond the top three, more nations are becoming significant space actors. NATO now recognizes space as an operational domain alongside land, sea, air, and cyberspace. A new set of players, private companies, operate vast fleets that provide critical services. From global internet access to high-resolution imagery, commercial systems now shape events on the ground. With nations, alliances, and companies intertwined, interests collide, without a central traffic controller in a shared domain. The idea of conflict in space might seem remote, but the risks to your everyday life are very real. Disrupting satellites can drop calls, slow the internet, and trigger outages for millions. Aviation built on GPS would face mass delays. Older, less efficient methods slash air capacity. Shipping slows, delaying deliveries of food, medicine, and goods. Economies feel it fast. Finance relies on ultra-precise GPS timing. Disruption or spoofing could shake global markets. Emergency services use satellite, location, and comms when seconds matter, especially when local networks fail. Losing these services in a crisis would make a bad situation catastrophically worse, costing lives. The legal framework was written decades ago and struggles with today's contested orbits. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty set core principles and forbids weapons of mass destruction in orbit, but its language is broad, written to prevent nuclear arms in space, not satellite-on-satellite conflict. There is no clear definition of a space weapon. Missiles, lasers, and jammers live in a legal gray zone. Is an inspector satellite benign or hostile? Is temporary jamming an act of war? There is no universal verification or enforcement regime, and attribution of malfunctions is often impossible. Progress is slow. Some pledge no destructive ASAT tests, but comprehensive. Binding rules remain elusive. Space security is a global public interest. As orbits grow crowded and contested, the chance of a crisis that affects everyone rises. Our technological society rests on orbital infrastructure that is now at risk. A conflict in space would be felt immediately in our homes, businesses, and communities. Watch UN efforts, debris test moratoriums, and rules for safe separation. Monitor how commercial players protect constellations, share threat data, and respond to government requests. For most of us, staying informed through fact-first sources is the most powerful step. Enjoying this? Like the video and subscribe. Tap the bell for daily space security insights. Recommended reading 1. Secure World Foundation, swfound.org, a non-profit dedicated to the secure and sustainable use of space. 2. Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSASs.org, Botch Programs, Aerospace, Security Project in-depth analysis and data on space security issues. 3. Space News, spacenews.com, a leading publication covering the business and politics of the global space industry. Stay curious and stay vigilant.